that sir is also the alumni of our department. Sir has completed his PhD under the guidance of Professor Dr. Dilip Uke sir. And while completing his PhD, his major area was PCPNDT Act. And that was one of the most remarkable PhD that even the state government and the central government, sir has made a special draft in that particular PhD thesis. And the state government and the central government has requested the sir to send that particular draft to make some amendments in the PCPNDT Act as well. So without taking so much time, I just hand over this virtual platform to our respected Dr. Uday Varunjkar sir. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rathod. And it's a pleasure to meet all my friends, at least virtually. To be very frank, there is always a pleasure to meet the young mind, young brains like you, and who wish to become a good Indian legal brain. I repeat, you wish to become a good Indian legal brain. Why I am using this particular terminology, I'll elaborate that. Considering the overall scenario of the world, Indian legal brains are preferred throughout the world. And as a result of that, I am expecting that you wish to become a good Indian legal brain. Almost more than 100 law schools are there in the entire state of Maharashtra. Around 1.5 years back, when the compilation was made by me for one of the matter, at that point of time it was found that the total intake capacity of the first year LLB in the state of Maharashtra is around 58,000 seats. Oh my God. Apart from this, the deemed universities were there, and if you add that, then it was almost 65,000 seats in one academic year. What does it show? It shows that there is a ever rising demand to this particular profession of law. Coming to the statistics in the respect of the entire country, you will find almost 1,700 law schools are there approximately in the entire country. And those who are aware about the MHCET or a CLAT, there is no need to point out how cutthroat competition is there for taking admission to these courses. What must be the reason? The reason is perhaps this, that you have chosen a correct profession, and now you have realized that after completion of LLB, that is not enough sufficient for your career. Wearing a black coat or a black robe is not sufficient for your career, maybe because of the demand and supply of the lawyers. Let me elaborate this. Take a case that if the government wish to open a medical college, then what are the considerations for the purpose of taking that decision? Perhaps they will be considering the number of doctors which are available. Perhaps they will be considering number of paramedical staff which is available. Perhaps they will consider the need of that particular region or district or city where the number of patients are more and the number of doctors are less. So in nutshell, we can draw a conclusion that the demand and supply ratio in that particular field will be considered for the purpose of establishing a new medical college. I hope you will agree with me. On the same line, Bar Council of India also gives a permission for opening a new law school. And then the new rules came into picture in the year 2008. We are aware about the Advocates Act 1961. We are also aware that under the Advocate Act, Bar Council of India is having a duty. The function is to control and regulate the legal education. And for fulfilling that particular object, the Legal Education Rules 2008 have been framed. And I'm sure none of you has gone through that. So make a short note of that. Without fail, please go through that particular rule, Legal Education Rules 2008. And I'm sure all my young friends on that side and the young and energetic mind, you are familiar with Google Mausi. In your smartphone, you are having that search engine by name Google Mausi. So you will ask that Mausi, I'm sure she will give you immediately that particular rules of 2008 without fail. Please read that, download it, store it and read it. Because if you wish to become a good Indian legal brain, then this will have to be kept in mind. I was coming to that issue, I was making a reference about the demand and supply. Few minutes back, when I started from the Honorable High Court and rushing to my chamber, I gave a call to Professor Rathod and I asked him, how many students are there for this session and what is that particular configuration? He told me that around 30 students are there who are having a background of Pune, and maybe around more than 60% students are from state of Maharashtra. So since they are in majority, let me give an example. In Pune city, more than 10,000 lawyers are there. More than 10,000 lawyers. If we consider Pune district, 5,000 lawyers are there who are practicing at different tehsil courts. And now despite this, a question is coming that how many law schools are there? You will be surprised that the second biggest capacity of the admission in the law school is from Pune University or the other universities which are situated in the territorial jurisdiction of Pune University. So therefore, this goes to show that Pune is educational hub, Oxford of the East. That is correct. We are very proud. But considering our legal profession, despite this, the large number of students are taking admission and they are starting their practice at Pune. What was the reason? The reason is the opportunities which are available at Pune. Large number of the students who are from rest of the India, you will find they will practice at Mumbai or Pune, though ordinarily they are supposed to go back to their native place and start their practice there. The reason is the opportunities are more in this state of Maharashtra. On the same line, I can add one more. I have come across various non-Indian citizens, I repeat, various non-Indian citizens who have started practice in India when they accepted citizenship or they said that we wish to practice on that particular matter and for the particular reason. Why? Because the opportunity in India for the legal brain is again on the higher pedestal so far as the rest of the world is concerned. Having said about this, I must tell you that particular aspect which I made a reference that the Indian legal brain is having a higher demand in the rest of the world. Let us go back around 6 years back. I was in Sydney where I was attending a Law Asia conference which was organized in Australia. Law Asia is a organization of all those countries which are in Asia Pacific region. Around 70, 75 or 80 countries are there. All of them are part of that Law Asia. The host for that conference was Australia. Australian Prime Minister was making a statement from the dais that they are eager to enter in the legal market of India. I repeat, they were eager to enter in the legal market of India. The Australian Prime Minister around 6-7 years back 2012 or 2013 made that statement. 2014, another one more function which was organized by the German Federal Bar in Berlin, where I was a representative of Bar Association of India, and one of the session was opportunities in Indian legal market. We know that we don't call ourselves as a person in the market, but for them it is a market. You are aware that in India, large number of German companies are having a very good existence, like the automobile industry, then pharmaceutical industries, then heavy metal industries. All those are having their head offices in Germany. You will find that there are large number of companies who are having their headquarters in Europe. Now all those are interested in having their own counsel to litigate in India. This is that particular situation. No doubt, all of us are aware that the Indian government has adopted a protective approach till today. But then in near future, the world is putting more and more pressure, and they will be increasing that pressure in near future to open our doors, maybe up to some extent. And at that point of time, all those multinational legal brains, legal companies, they will be searching for the best Indian legal brain. That is the reason why you have chosen the correct path. A litigation and a non-litigation, these are the two things, that's correct. But as on today, most of the students who are alumni of the NLU, you will find they are more interested in getting an employment, and our law department is also not an exception to that. Why? The reason is large number of lawyers are fed up with this system of adjudication. The adjudicatory system which we are having its own some kind of inherent problems, but the young legal brains are not ready to wait for that particular period which is required to be given for ripening the fruits or for delivering the fruits of that particular waiting period. Perhaps you may be right in saying that your generation is not ready to wait, but the facts and figures will go to show that apart from campus interview, there are other opportunities also which are equally important. And those opportunities are such opportunities which are going to give you a substantial job satisfaction. I repeat, money is not the only concern for which you will be seeking an admission to the LLM course, but the job satisfaction is something for which you are going to seek an admission. Having said about this, let me make a reference about few more international events. You may be aware about the Commonwealth countries. India was ruled by the British. There are several such countries in the world who were ruled by the British. Those countries along with India are having a similar legal system. We always say that our legal system is based on the British legal system principles. There are almost 80 countries, 80, which are part of this Commonwealth, and most of them are having principles which are common because they are derived from the British principles. Therefore, you will find that the Australians, the New Zealand lawyers, or even the other so many such countries like Zimbabwe, like South Africa, like the other countries, including Singapore, you will find those are the countries where the system is similar. Now you will find that with reference to Australia, they are having a fly in and fly out principle. If you come to Singapore, Indian lawyers can practice there. If you go to UK, Indian lawyers are welcome. If you go to Canada, Indian legal brains are welcome. These are around 80 countries where there are similarities in the legal education, similarities in the adjudication system, similarities in the entire principles which are followed. So therefore, there is a one more opportunity for Indian legal brain to start your legal career in those countries. I have one of my friend from Mumbai who is practicing in family court at Mumbai, and he is also an attorney in Canada. Whenever there is a rather winter in Canada, he comes back to India and he has become virtually like a migratory bird. And when there is no winter, he will go back to Canada. I am aware about one of our friend who is from who is an Indian origin lawyer who is practicing at practicing in South Africa in Natal province. We are aware that Mahatma Gandhi went there, and after becoming a barrister he was practicing. We are aware about that. You will be surprised. He comes in India for delivering different lectures. He goes to Australia, he goes to New Zealand, he goes to Singapore for arguing his matter, because again Commonwealth countries. These are the different opportunities which are available before the young generation like you. But I must tell you, every year we get a batch of few students in the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. Those students request that, sir, please give us a recommendatory letter or a standing certificate, because they wish to take admission for the courses abroad, and for that particular purpose they need a certification saying that our course is equivalent to the course of legal education in that country. Now I must tell you about UK, about Canada, our course is equivalent, but for US it is not equivalent. The principles are different, and as a result of that, the lawyer who is registered with Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa or any other bar council in the country under the Advocate Act is not treated at par with the local lawyers in US. So therefore, those countries are having their own system, and in the tourism context, if we consider, India is the second largest country whose citizens are touring whole world after China. China is the largest country. So on the same line, you will find that in the legal market of rest of the world, Indians are also slowly expanding. But China has expanded the legal market from their angle with the same speed which we have noticed in the other different fields. Why? Because for them it is again a controlled legal profession. For them it is like a patriotism to go and start the legal activities in another country as a representative of the People's Republic of China. But in India you will find that most of the students who go and study in the UK or nowadays in Canada do not prefer to come back to India. Since our SPPU is situated at Pune, I know few parents whose children have gone to US, United Kingdom or Canada for doing their post-graduation, and they have not turned back. But take a case of the opportunities for the Chinese people, you will find that whenever their country calls them, they come back. That is not happening in our country, and therefore those our Indian legal brains, after going in US, UK or even Canada or European countries, they try to stay there. That is one of the challenge before all of us. Having said about this, let me tell you, the BRICS Legal Forum is another one more opportunity. And I am very proud to share with you Last year BRIC was conveyed online by Russia. I was one of the speakers for Indian delegate. Prior to that, it was in Rio. I was on the dais and I delivered a lecture as an Indian delegate in Rio. Prior to that, it was in South Africa. Prior to that, it was in Russia. And I'm very proud that all last 5 BRICS Legal Forum, I'm one of the Indian delegate, and I'm very proud to say that other 4 countries are looking at us with much more expectations. Our Indian legal brains are welcome even in the BRICS Legal Forum. And I will tell you what is the immediate challenge which is being discussed at BRICS Legal Forum, and that is a challenge of artificial intelligence to the legal profession. I repeat, in the world, there are several such situations, several experiments which are going on in the field of science and technology, and the robo is one of the immediate threat so far as the legal profession is concerned. You call it as a legal market, you call it as a legal profession, but artificial intelligence is one of the legal challenge. And you, young generation, the young and fresh mind, will have to keep yourself updated with reference to those developments. Let us go back to my generation, 27 years back when I became a lawyer. At that point of time, we were having a habit of touching the books physically. We were having a habit of noting down the citations. We were having a habit of maintaining our own notebook in which we were writing down the different ratios. But slowly after 1991 liberalization and the development in the field of science and technology, the computer size has started decreasing. And then those second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and then Pentium, then so many microcomputers, and then in the microprocessor units came, and then in our mobile, the smartphone had changed the entire equation. And as a result of that, now the next situation is such that you are having a further challenge, and that challenge is with reference to the artificial intelligence which will be there, which will be one of the competitor to all my young brains, young legal brains. And you will find that these young legal brains are having a cutthroat competition in the near future. Why? Because the opportunities which are going to be there, those opportunities will get reduced on account of introduction of this artificial intelligence. All right, let us not go to the robo. But while typing on the screen pad, you are aware about that there is a dictionary which is available. That dictionary supports you, and that dictionary suggests the probable word which you wish to add. What is this? This is an artificial intelligence. Now you will find that this artificial intelligence is being introduced in the field of legal profession also. And Honorable Supreme Court, who is having a e-court committee which is headed by Dr. Justice Chandrachud, and the vice chairman of that committee is Justice R.C. Sawan, Ravindra Sawan from the cadre of Bombay High Court. They are very keen on implementation of this artificial intelligence in the legal adjudicatory system. I'll tell you, a few months back, one more exercise was initiated in our matter because of the order passed by Justice Nitin Zamdar. Justice Nitin Zamdar is one of the such a honorable judge who is more computer friendly, and he was a chairman of the IT committee of the Bombay High Court. While dealing with one issue in the education field, he shared with us that on the same issue, there are n number of cases which are filed before the Bombay bench, which is a principal bench, n number of cases before Aurangabad bench, n number of cases which are before Nagpur bench. And therefore a thought was planted by Justice Nitin Zamdar that why can't we prepare a list of all those matters which are common and then the artificial intelligence will come to help us. Yeah, scrutiny of those cases, then segregation of those cases, then listing those cases before the same bench. Don't you think that this will help us? If we are starting practice at district level, then those appeals which are preferred by the different accused and the issues which are common, can we segregate that and bring it together and list it before that particular common judge? There are so many things which are possible, and that is that particular field where perhaps you as a student of SPPU can have one more research paper. A further scope in the field of legal education, artificial intelligence and legal education, how you can correlate between two. One of the thought, sky is the limit. You can innovate something. You can find something different. There can be something like artificial intelligence at trial court level. Why can't be done? We know that recording of the evidence is continuing process which takes substantial time. Why can't we come with some kind of a better proposal about artificial intelligence? Why can't we say that let us use different softwares which will be useful for the purpose of even recording of the evidence? I must tell you, a few years back, I had been to Malaysian courts. In the Malaysian court, I attended one trial. I was an Indian delegate. And in that trial, I found that whatever verbatim, whatever the accused was saying or the advocate was saying or the judge was saying, that was coming on the screen verbatim. Why can't we implement that particular thing, namely the speech recognition software in our Indian legal system? We know that the steno or a bond writer or a writer was an integral part of our system. The science and technology has developed. The speech recognition software can be installed in each court. Why can't we consider that option? We can eliminate the time gap between the dictation and the actual typing. This can be useful for everybody. So therefore, how can that be used in the legal profession? You can think about that. Having said about this, I must tell you that as a student of SPPU, you will have to submit different research papers. You will have to submit different articles, and this is wonderful opportunity. I as a student, I enjoyed. I did my LLM from Mumbai University. At that point of time, research methodology was not a subject which was taught to us. It was several years back. But when I became a student of SPPU for doing my PhD, at that point of time, they grilled me like anything. They were giving me so much homework that our kids, they were asking, what are you doing? I was telling them that now I have become a student of SPPU and they are giving me homework and they are expecting me to complete their homework within the stipulated time. After 22 years of my practice, I became a student of PhD, and for my first exam, our kids and my wife, all of them came to drop me in the SPPU Law University Law Department. And my son, he gave me his lucky pen so that I can get a wonderful marks in my first written examination after so many years. This was in a lighter sense. But coming back to the main topic, this is one of the wonderful opportunity to learn. What are the things which are required? As on today, you are like an absorbent. In the Marathi, there is a word sponge. You will have to become a very good absorbent. You will have to prepare yourself beforehand. You will have to read not only the books which are prescribed, but apart from that, other books also. And I must tell you, in your LLM, you will have to prepare yourself to ask different questions. If you ask questions, then and then only you can become a good Indian legal brain. Asking a question why, asking a question why, what, where, These are the questions which are going to develop some kind of out of box thinking. And I must tell you why Indian legal brains are preferred in the world, why they are welcomed, because of our ability to think out of box. And if you think out of box, then this is that particular method by virtue of which you can start that particular process. As a student of SPPU, while doing this LLM, if you ask a question to yourself, why this is that provision is there, what must be the logic, why not like this, then I'm sure you can develop your own habit. Now, as a student of law, I'm sure your parents must have subscribed some kind of a magazines or the newspaper for you. If you are not having a habit of reading the newspaper, please develop that habit even at least in this year. Because at least 2 or 3 different views will be possible by reading 2 or 3 different newspapers. We are aware that different newspapers are having their different own agenda. Those newspaper agendas are having their own the values, their own principles, and therefore you will find the same news will be reported in the different newspaper from a different angle. So therefore you will have to make an habit to read at least 2 or 3 different newspapers in a day. I do that particular thing which I am sharing a tip. In a busy day, it won't be possible for me to read certain articles. I have created my own group on the WhatsApp. We are now slaves of the WhatsApp. We can't imagine that we are without WhatsApp. So therefore, I have created a group of my own on that WhatsApp, and whatever article which I wish to read later on, I take a photograph and post it on that WhatsApp group where I am only member. So wherever I get a time, I'll read that particular article and then I'll delete that. What was happening earlier prior to becoming a slave of a WhatsApp, I used to cut that particular newspaper article and keep it in my bedroom so that whenever I get a time, I will read that. But now you being a next generation, there is no need to do that, but you can keep those all materials ready with you and try to read, try to digest, try to discuss. Now the one more thing, I'm sure that you must be having at least one television set minimum at your residence, and your parents must have subscribed n number of channels, and some channels are free, some channels are paid, and your parents must have chosen all those channels where those soap are there, and then the comedies are there, or movie channels are there. But being a student of SPPU, now you will have to change that. You will have to subscribe the news channels, and you will have to share out some time for the purpose of that particular television show where legal issues are debated. You will have to watch that. I know nowadays, to be very frank, even when Arnab Goswami channel calls me, with respect, I tell them, sorry, your channel doesn't allow me to speak. Your other guests are shouting. So therefore, I choose other channel. I go to other channel, they are welcoming me, they are giving me at least 1 minute. And in 1 minute, if you are not in position to make out your point, then I am sorry, you will have to remove your robe and start going back to SPPU and start learning once again. In 1 minute, you will have to make out your point. 60 seconds are enough sufficient to make out your point. So therefore, you will have to become a regular viewer with reference to legal debates. There are several channels. They are conducting legal debate. At least you will find that the same legal topic is debated from a different angle on a different channel. As a student of law, you will have to develop more and more input, and as a first class absorbent, you will have to absorb that. Now the next thing comes. Next is you will have to develop an analytical mind. You will have to analyze why this person is behaving in this manner, why he has said so, why the professor is opening his topic in this manner, why the judge is behaving in this manner, why the senior advocate is asking the questions in this manner, you will have to ask those questions to yourself. After asking those questions, you will come to know that slowly, slowly your analytical mind is getting developed. I will tell you, the paper and the pen, or pencil and the paper, are the best friend. I'll tell you very frankly, for solving any problem, take a help of pen and paper, write down what are plus, what are minus, and then take a decision. The decision will have to be taken as an Indian legal brain by using your legal brain, not heart. If you wish to develop that habit, then you will have to start it now. Because after almost 1 year, you will be available for this entire legal profession. And now in these circumstances, according to me, you have taken a good decision to join this particular course. I was discussing with Professor Rathod that in the next year, there will be 2 years LLM. So yours will be the last batch. You will be saving 1 year. But this 1 year which you are going to save, ultimately for this remaining 1 year, you will have to devote maximum time. Forget about your vacation. Forget about your other commitment. Forget about your friend circle. Forget about your parties. Forget about your get-togethers. Concentrate on this particular 1 year. There are some good friends of mine who are alumni of our law department, and they have shared in private saying that, sir, 5 साल में जितना सीखा नहीं है ना, उतना ये SPPU वाले 1 साल में सिखाते हैं. In 1 year, they will make you study what you have done in last 5 years. Therefore, I must say that it's a very good choice which you have exercised, but you will have to be loyal. Your parents have supported you. They will support you further. But the only thing, now become a little more serious. Now concentrate on your career. हम कहते हैं ना कि नदी के बीच में हम जा रहे हैं और उस पार जो भी है वो दिखाई देने लगा है. Now you are at the fag end of your studentship. After 12th, 5 years you have studied, or after graduation 3 years you have studied, and now it's the last year. It's a LLM. हमारी नौका अभी उस पार पहुंचने वाली है. The Indian legal profession is going to welcome you. They are going to look at you with a respect. And now in these circumstances, you will have to give best possible thing in this 1 year. Now, one more word of advice which I should give you. Try to participate in all activities of your department. ALL all. I repeat, you should participate in all activities of your legal department. I'll tell you very frankly, I participated in the cooking competition. Though I was not knowing ABCD of cooking, and by grace of God, I won the first prize in the male section in the cooking competition. I participated in Rangoli, and by grace of God, I got prize in that also, in the male segment. I participated in elocution, I participated in drama, I participated in all kind of activities. These are the activities which will develop your legal personality. This is useful for your day-to-day activities which you are going to perform as an Indian legal brain. Apart from sharpening your skills about the legal angle, you will have to sharpen your skills to develop your personality. There may be some persons who are from official background like me. I have studied from my mother tongue, in my mother tongue. I studied in Marathi language. But to be very frank, there is some kind of a software in our brain. That particular portion is there in our brain which becomes a translator. Forget about using that particular part in your brain. Let us understand what is the system. Somebody is saying something in Marathi. Our ears are hearing that. That goes to that translation center in our brain. That translation center translates that into regional language or into English. And then we are feeling that, yes, I have understood this. Take a reverse situation. If I wish to say something, then being a Marathi student, Marathi language student, firstly I will collect those all words in Marathi. I will arrange a sentence in Marathi that will go to that translator segment in my brain, that will get translated, then that will come in my vocal cord, and then I will utter that particular sentence. This entire process is there, and right or wrong, you are depending on that small portion of our brain where we are calling as a translator segment or that particular department. Let us take a divorce from that particular portion. Let us make a let us make a point. I am not going to use that particular segment of my brain. What will happen? I'll have to collect more and more vocabulary. I'll have to arrange the word in the better manner. I'll have to express myself in a little different manner because Marathi expression is different, English expression is different. But still, I'm sure you can make it. There may be a student who has learned from Hindi language. The same will be applicable here. Article 348 of the Constitution contemplates the language of the Honorable Supreme Court and High Court is English. No doubt, 348 sub-article 2 that empowers that a regional language can be made as a language of that particular High Court. But when sesquicentennial year celebration was there, 160-year celebration of Bombay High Court, the Honorable Prime Minister came and he shared with us that one of the reasons why Indian legal brain is welcome and the foreigners are believing on Indian legal system is this, that our Supreme Court delivers judgment in the English language. English is comparatively a familiar language for the investors because they are trained, at least in the Commonwealth countries, at least in the European countries or US or even other several such countries, and therefore that is one of the reasons why India is attracting such a wonderful investment from the world. So therefore, having said about this, you will have to make yourself more and more fluent in English. How you can do this? You will have to stop using Marathi words or your regional language words for a period of 1 year. Slowly you will find that you start thinking in that language also. Apart from that, reading English legal language is also one of the exercises which is required. The general English in which we use the terminologies is different than the legal English. In our law schools, we have studied about the legal language, and I'm sure you must have put that particular subject to an option at this stage by saying that, sir, iska kya zarurat hai? This is not required now, and now I am a law graduate. Sorry, you may be law graduate, but if you wish to practice at a national or an international level, then you will have to develop your legal vocabulary from that angle. The maxims, you should have a mastery on the maxims. You should have a mastery on the legal terminologies. And apart from that, you will have to discuss those different topics among yourself. I'll tell you by discussion and by explaining that topic to the others, you will come to know that you are understanding it more better. So these are the some tips which I wanted to share. I know almost 45 minutes are over. I spoke with Professor Rathod and I suggested him that let us open our platform for the purpose of question and answer, yes, because I have given them 1 hour time, and being a 100% professional person, I have another 15 minutes which are with all of you. But let me make myself clear in this concluding segment. I'm thankful to my own department and our in charge head of law department. She has, I could not see her on the screen, but I'm sure she must be listening or she may be taking a feedback about this. I'm thankful to our all professors from the law department, all the non-teaching staff also who have helped me a lot when I was a student at SPPU, and they are going to help you people also. I must say that we are going to meet very soon. In the rest of the life, we are going to meet again. And hopefully that will be the physical meeting. I'm eager to meet you. And I am sure that time you will pass on that particular feedback to me. that Dr. Uday Prakash Warunjikar, you was a real chavi wala. You applied a beautiful that chavi wala skill, and you become a catalyst. You passed on that thought to us, and we are implemented. I will wait for that day when you will come back to me saying that, sir, I have become one of the Indian legal brain which is welcomed throughout the India. Till that point of time, all the best to all of you. Now you can open the floor for question and answer. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So students, if you have queries and questions regarding today's lecture and apart from all this thing, the platform is open. Yes, please.
You can start your mic. You can ask.
Hello, Namaste sir, Kaunte here.
Yes.
So I have two questions. First is regarding you have talked about the artificial intelligence. So as a senior lawyer, what is your vision for future regarding the artificial intelligence, and what do you think? Can we need any legislation for the artificial intelligence? Means till how many extent we can use artificial intelligence in our profession? Thank you.
Young man, your question is virtually a challenge to all of us. We are, even at this stage, we are unable to imagine and visualize what will be the actual impact. We all are trying to assess what will be the impact. Therefore, you are right in saying that it is going to have an impact. How to minimize adverse impact, that is a challenge. How to have a positive impact, that is also a challenge. And we are at a very early stage to comment on that. Coming back to your basic question, the second question, whether India need a legislation to control artificial intelligence. In near future, maybe within another 7 or 10 years, perhaps India will have to start introduce a legislation to deal with that. But as on today, there is no such legislation in the world which is regulating the artificial intelligence, barring few countries. But the science and technology is developing with such a speed that our Indian legislators will have to come with some solution. First thing first, our data protection bill is still pending. We are aware about that. In that circumstances, unless we have a data protection bill, there can't be a further regulatory mechanism for artificial intelligence. In the field of medicine and the law, in the field of human rights and the law, in the field of other different legal fields which are having a nexus with the technology, you will find that the regulatory mechanisms are coming. So it is possible in the near future there may be a regulatory mechanism which will have to be introduced. And perhaps as a student of law, you can start thinking of preparation of a bill which will be useful for the purpose of regulating the artificial intelligence in the Indian context. Very good question. Thank you. Next one.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, students.
And
Hello.
please turn on your videos, please.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
please go on. We can hear you. Yes, students.
Sir, artificial intelligence and data science is effect.
Can you repeat, young man?
Hello.
Ganesh, please repeat your question.
Artificial intelligence is engineering concept
Correct.
and data science is related.
Correct.
Both are effect in law field. And what is scope of future?
Somewhat similar question, young man. You are right. Both are science related questions, but as I said that India is searching for the better things which can come from this technology. Let us go back to the basic issue. Can we say that the technology is bad? No. The person you are using that technology for bad purposes, they will have to be punished. So for that particular, what is required to be done? Regulation of that technology is required. Artificial intelligence is what ultimately it is, again a technology, and that technology will have to be regulated. Why regulation is required? Because there is an apprehension that in near future technology may be used for something illegal purposes, maybe something disadvantageous purposes, maybe something which is prohibitory purposes, maybe something which is against our principles, against our ethics, against our values, and therefore a regulatory mechanism will be required. But you are right about data protection. The situation is different. The data protection in the legal context is again a challenge. Not only legal but other field also. Take a case of all those data which are collected by the E-Court Committee of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. They are collecting that data. They will have to protect that data. They will have to preserve that data, and they will have to assure that the data of the litigant, data of an advocate, data with reference to that particular case is not misused. So therefore, data protection laws are yet to be introduced in India. On the same line, artificial intelligence regulatory mechanism is yet to be introduced in India, and I am sure in the near future it will be there. I hope, Ganesh, for the timing it is sufficient. Thank you. Next one, please.
Sir, if I may just add, if students still don't know, if you've read about artificial intelligence and its regulations, sir, China recently has proposed a draft regulation on AI. So if students want to go through that, they may go through it. That will also clear many doubts.
Thank you, Shweta madam. Google Mousy will tell you several things, but let me tell you, in China, Google Mousy is not permitted. They are having their own search engine. I'll tell you, WhatsApp is not permitted in China. I had been to Beijing on 3 occasions, and on one occasion, Belt and Road Initiative was there. One of the conference was there in which we as an Indian delegate, we protested against that Belt and Road Initiative, and we pointed out with respect, we do not agree with your aggressive mechanism by virtue of which you are propagating this Belt and Road Initiative, and we put our views and they have welcomed that. But at that point of time also, we were required to download WeChat. WeChat is there. There are different search engines in India. They have not permitted search engine to access to their maps. I'll repeat, our Google map not permitted there. In fact, Google map is not our map, it's an American map. So therefore, if you wish to have more and more information about the Chinese development, then you will have to start that particular search engine which is available in China. You will have to then go for translator and do that. I must tell you, while doing my PhD, I had an occasion to discuss my some thoughts with a Chinese law professor. They were not permitted to even discuss. There was a complete regulatory mechanism. So therefore, this information which Shweta madam is sharing with us, that has percolated so far, but I am afraid that they must have gone much ahead, and they must have implemented it in a different manner. Having said about this, it's a 2:30. So therefore, now it's a last minute when you can wind up, so that I can rush back to the court and do justice to my professional work.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. We are really thankful.
Can I take 10 seconds?
Yes, please.
Those who wish to view this particular interaction, I am going to request the organizers to provide me the link, so that which will I upload on my YouTube channel also.
Sure,
so
sir.
that if you wish to have a interactive session and view that, or have some kind of more input about the legal literacy, please visit that YouTube channel. Thank you.
Sir, I'll be
Yes.
sending it to you right after the session, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the department and on behalf of the SPP University, we are very much thankful that in very busy schedule, you have taken out the time for our department, for our students, and really throughout the sessions, we have enjoyed your intellectual inputs regarding LLM, regarding practice as well. So we are expecting that in future you will be with us in an offline mode. In that case, we will share a cup of tea with you with this type of intellectual session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, students. Isha ma'am,
Yes, sir.
now I just share some views about
So
this
you
soft
can continue to the next
so,
session.
yes, soft skill papers. So student, after this session, now we will just discuss about the soft skill papers.